The Slow and Steady Revival of Gene Therapy, Lexile 1210, publication, Technology Review, November/December 2013. Author, Susan Young. Up front, it has been a tantalizing idea for decades to cure cancers and other disorders caused by a defective copy of a gene by giving patients a healthy version of the gene. But researchers have struggled to make gene therapy safe and effective. Failed and fatal trials have threatened to doom the technology. Finally, however, gene therapy seems to be making important progress. Although few governments have approved the sale of gene therapies, and the United States has approved none, that could change in coming years. Several gene therapies are in advanced trials, including treatments for metastatic melanoma and prostate cancer. A big step forward came last year when the European Medicines Agency gave the Dutch biotech startup uniQure permission to sell its treatment for lipoprotein lipase deficiency, which can be deadly. That approval came as a relief to many people in the field who have been waiting for a break in the clouds hanging over the technology since the 90s. The treatment generally requires a modified virus to deliver healthy copies of genes into patients' bodies, and some early trials failed because of the immune response they prompted. But in recent years, researchers have figured out how to prevent or mitigate that immune reaction. It's been an interesting evolution for gene therapy, says Catherine High, a researcher at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, who is overseeing a late-stage trial of gene therapy for a hereditary form of blindness. You see a resurgence in terms of investors, and in truth, a number of problems have been solved. Still, it is likely to be a few years before a treatment is approved in the U.S. Although uniQure has European approval in hand, the company says it has not yet submitted an application to the Food and Drug Administration. uniQure's treatment delivers a gene that is needed for the body to break down fats. Without it, patients can develop a painful and even deadly inflammation of the pancreas. To deliver it, uniQure uses a modified version of a virus that most of us carry already. The choice of virus used to deliver a gene therapy depends in part on where the treatment needs to go in the body and whether the viruses are intended to replicate themselves. Some viruses, for instance, are designed to spread throughout the body to kill cancer cells. In the trial that High is overseeing in Philadelphia, the patients have a disorder that causes blindness at an early age. The treatment calls for doctors to inject genes borne by a virus just behind the patient's retina. The patients in this stage of the experiment already have received the treatment in one eye. Now the other will be tested. The earlier round was promising. Some patients' vision improved to the point that they were no longer legally blind, and some patients have been stable for nearly 6 years. The trial is scheduled to end in April 2015. Another possibility comes from Bluebird Bio, a company based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which has published results from patients who have seemingly been cured of a genetic blood disease. The company is about to start testing its approach to a hereditary neurological disorder that is often fatal in young boys. In a different form, gene therapy could also become an option for cancer treatment. At a meeting this summer, Imagen announced that it had met its goals for an advanced test of a gene therapy for melanoma that has spread from the skin to other parts of the body. The Amgen treatment, which was engineered from a virus that normally causes cold sores, takes a two-pronged approach to fighting cancer. The virus selectively infects cancer cells where it replicates until the cell bursts. While growing inside the cell, the virus also produces a protein that rouses the immune system. When the cell breaks open, immune cells are attracted to the tumor site to fight the disease. In a test in people with late-stage melanoma that has spread, the cancer disappeared entirely in 11% of the patients. In some cases, even tumors that didn't receive injections vanished, a promising indication of how well the cancer-killing viruses radiate in the body. In an additional 15% of patients, individual tumors shrank by at least half. Fuller results are expected in the first half of 2014. The completion of such clinical trials is no guarantee that the technology will become widely used. However, companies and hospitals are starting to build manufacturing plants capable of producing large amounts of virus-based cures. uniQure, for example, is building a 55,000 square foot plant in Massachusetts to manufacture commercial-grade gene therapy products. It expects production to begin by early 2015. To market: Naomi Company, Bionym. Price $77. Availability 2014. Instead of entering passwords all day long, you could prove who you are simply by wearing the Naomi, a wristband that measures distinctive characteristics in your electrocardiogram. Unlike other biometric identifiers such as fingerprints or iris patterns, the electrical signals generated by your heart can be read without you having to stop to do anything. And because the NIMI can communicate wirelessly with payment terminals, cars, and devices over the Bluetooth Low Energy standard, wearers could authenticate themselves simply by getting within close range. First, however, the Canadian startup that makes the NIMI has to get developers to create applications that work with the wristband.